fifth conversation with Andy, who is not in the UK. He is in Lapland, in the Finnish Lapland, uh, a little bit above the Arctic Circle, so he's way up north. And just like always, in speaking with Andy, there's a very gentle rebel tone to it, and that is what he is. That is his brand, that is his energy. And we speak quite a lot about, or I guess we speak about brand, but without actually mentioning the word brand. We speak about marketing and how it's done, what kind of works and doesn't work for the inner ethics committee. I have an inner ethics committee that says, no, cannot do that. About different things on marketing with bunny ears. But we also speak quite a lot about violence and laughter, or terror and laughter. He's in Finland, so he's next door to Russia at the moment, and the Russian-Ukraine situation started almost, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago? I don't know. It's March 17th when we're recording this. So we speak about that, about the importance of knowing what your bandwidth is, what you can take in at the moment. And I'm not taking in much of that at the moment because my bandwidth just isn't there. So enjoy this, our fifth and final conversation, which I'm so happy to have done with Andy because he's a keeper. So enjoy. So,
How are you?
Andy, you are in Lapland.
I am.
You are.
Yeah.
And you're
It's
not in the Swedish Lapland. You're in the Finnish Lapland because we
I'm in
have a
Finnish.
Lapland too.
I know. I saw that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how high up are you right now?
Um, about it's about 100 odd kilometers above the Arctic Circle. So yeah, the highest I've ever been.
Yeah. So is this place called something besides Lapland?
It is called something. Yeah, I was fearing that you'd ask me that. Um,
Finnish?
Akaslampolo, I think, is the Akaslampolo
Well, that wasn't
is
so
the
bad.
village. No.
There are worse
It could have been.
Finnish
It could have been.
words.
There
Lots
are.
of words. Yeah.
I'm trying to learn some. Yeah. Yeah. My
So,
head's not very good at remembering, but it's good. It's nice
so
being surrounded by the language as well.
yeah, I can imagine. So the I would say there are two kind of phrases that all Swedes know in Finnish. Yksi, kaksi, kolme, when you start to count.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why we know that, but we know that. And then ei saa peitti, which is do not cover, which is what it reads on all of the what do you call them? Heating elements with like the radiators.
Right.
There's the warning
Yeah.
sign in Swedish, får ej övertäckas, ei saa peitti, and then do not cover.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
Do not
those
cover.
that are do not cover. So that's what it means. So I would say most Swedes know that one because everybody, when you're in the bathroom, there's a radiator next to you, and that's the only thing you can read in there.
Yeah.
So everybody knows that one. I don't know if I say it correctly, but that's what it reads as.
Yeah. That's
And
funny.
then
Yeah.
I don't know any Finnish. It is a
Nice.
language not related to mine at all.
It's interesting because in Finland they have to learn Swedish, don't they? So yeah.
So there's Finns, and then there's Finlandssvenska, Finnish Swedes.
Mm-hmm.
So and then you have Finlandssvenska has as their mother tongue Swedish Finnish, sort of Finlandssvenska, which is actually a language, but it is Swedish, but with a
It's
twist on
like a
it.
bit of a hybrid. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Hmm.
then the Finnish people who have as the mother tongue Finnish, and then learn it in school.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of a sensitive topic now and again, because Finland has really been squeezed between both Sweden and Russia for
Yeah.
centuries. So, and I can't say that I know that much about that history.
Hmm.
More than that, they've been squeezed.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really fascinating. I've been trying to sort of soak in some of that history and kind of ask questions and learn about that because, like, I suppose, especially at the moment with the geopolitical sort of
Yeah,
situation, in Ukraine and Russia, and yeah, everything's just, I don't know, it just feels more alive in terms of like the history being present
yeah,
and
yeah,
actually a real thing
yeah.
and living in different ways through people as well. And yeah, it's just kind of reflecting on sort of United Kingdom, the I guess the dynamics between the different states in the United Kingdom, like England being the dominant, the big,
Yep.
the
Wales,
bruiser, and then
Scotland.
Wales and Scotland and
Mm-hmm.
Northern Ireland is, yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
got its own, yeah, tumultuous sort of thing. So yeah, it's fascinating to think about, but very present at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. And very relevant at the moment. And
Hmm.
I had I think I was in like high school-ish, or when well, kind of out of it, I guess, or just going out of it when Yugoslavia kind of broke apart,
Hmm.
early 90s. And that was like the first time that you know, that I could see the impermanence in countries, in the national state. I hadn't, it's like, well, Sweden has always been around. It's like,
Yeah.
no, it hasn't. 500 years, yes, before that, something quite different.
Hmm.
So it's like that really struck me then, that, oh yeah, this thing that kind of feels so permanent, it feels so fixed. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's there, it's a thing. No, it is not. It's a transient being, if anything.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. There should be a word for that moment where you realise, yeah, the transience and the dynamic nature of all of that stuff. Because yeah, I think I learnt about it, studying politics and international relations. It's a part of obviously the what you learn, and you kind of read it in the in the books and everything that you sort of study. But when it's only when you sort of come face to face with that, the impermanence and the fact that, okay, that's just going to shift and become something else. Because I don't remember the breakup of the Soviet Union. I was alive, but like I think that would have been a moment
yeah.
of seeing, okay, that's, yeah.
And that one, for some reason, that one didn't. I was in the US then. I was a foreign exchange student in Lincoln, Nebraska, in the fall of '89 and the spring
Hmm.
of '90. And I did um extemporaneous speaking. I was in the speech class. I did extemporaneous speaking, which is, you get a question, a relevant question, and you have have half an hour to write a 5-minute speech on that.
Right.
And we were really, really good at that, high school. And one of the questions that I got at the tournament for this was, uh, will the Berlin Wall fall? So it was just on that side
Mm-hmm.
of that. And it was just,
Mm.
well, no, it did. But for some reason, Yugoslavia kind of going poof was more of the
It's
Berlin
interesting.
Wall, and then what happened with Soviet was more like it was an implosion
Yeah.
somehow. Older, more kind of a different type of energy, whereas Yugoslavia was just poof. Maybe because Yugoslavia was so very apparently a created country
Mm.
for post World War I. No, I'm really gonna have people go, you don't know anything. No, I don't know a
Yeah.
lot. I kind of have a little bit of inklings. Um, so I remember the Yugoslavia insight much
Mm-hmm.
more felt in my body.
Mm.
Uh, Even though the scenery from Berlin when the wall was, no longer a threat and they started to like tear it down by hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one I felt then more than the
Mm-hmm.
country.
It's kind of a different, yeah, energy part of it. Yeah.
Very much a
That's,
different
yeah,
energy part
interesting.
of it. And then kind of the unraveling of the Soviet Union after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. Yeah. And it's just reminded of, even like with the pandemic, how it's the, like with the, will the wall fall? No, you can't imagine it happening. It's like pre-pandemic. Imagine everything that's happened in the past 2 years
Ten, ten,
happening. It's like it's
and,
impossible to kind of
and,
imagine.
and,
And you read about pandemics in the past and like the Spanish flu 100 years ago, and you read about like the world wars, and you read about all of these things that are in history that actually you suddenly realize actually this is here, like this,
yeah,
that is how it happens. And that's why, yeah, it's just got to be so mindful and present
yeah,
in those happenings, that when you're in the moment, it's bit by bit, small thing by small thing, one decision today, one decision tomorrow, everything sort of just,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
unravels really. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's been a massive aha for me, is just that sense of, oh, right, this is how those things we read in history happen.
Yeah,
And this is a
yeah,
thing that will be read about in history.
yeah.
Yeah. And it doesn't feel like you'd imagine it to feel necessarily.
And I wonder how much of that is. I mean, you and me both are distant to what's going on in Ukraine. Right now, you're
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
geographically a little bit closer than me, and there's the NATO discussions about the Finland and whatnot. But also this aspect of kind of trying to put yourself into the shoes of somebody fleeing their home and
Mm-hmm.
really being on the run or having to take shelter because there's bombs falling.
Yeah.
It's like, how? It's like, why would we do that?
Mm-hmm.
Would we do that? It's like, that's just such a, it's so silly in a sense, isn't it? Like, bombs? Really?
Yeah.
You would throw an explosive on the head of people? It's like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
It's just so I'm still in like that distance to it, and I have deliberately not been reading a lot, not been watching a lot from Ukraine and what's going on. I haven't had the bandwidth to cope with
Mm-hmm.
that too. Uh,
How have you managed that in terms of
I
your own
it
relationship?
basically I manage that in the way that I go about my life, even in less extraordinary times. I don't. I don't have any push notifications on my phone, first of all. I don't subscribe to all of the newspapers and the like media outlets and news outlets. So I don't do that anyway, but I basically don't surf. I don't check them. I don't go to their sites. Yeah, sure, it comes past me on Facebook and Twitter and people talk about it, but I don't have to click. I don't have to watch. And I don't. Um, which is it's like for me right now where I am, it is enough that I know it's going on. And I will know it's going on without having to surf into any news site,
Hmm.
because it is around. So I feel it, even though I don't have to dive into it and read all of the details and see where are the Russians and what town has fallen and who was bombed and who's in a hospital. It's like I don't go into the details. And I
Mm.
didn't go into a lot of the details in the pandemic either. I get it from around me, but I'm not the
Yeah.
one doing the research, so to speak. I don't want that. I
Mm.
I don't want it.
Yeah. I guess was it our first conversation we were kind of talking about this. It feels like it's kind of
Yeah.
come come
Coming
full
full
circle in a
circle. Yeah.
yeah, and like how you manage you sort of engage enough on the level that you want to engage and making that choice of okay, this is how I am going to engage with this or how I'm going to engage with news generally,
Mm.
um, and then setting those boundaries that mean you can, because I think it's a conversation we've been having here with Tula, who I'm staying with, about posting things on social media. So like just sharing some of the joys that have been
And
for me, like
I've seen
over the
that. I checked your skiing reel this morning.
the skiing.
Or one of them maybe.
That was painful. Yeah. Yeah, and but it's been a conversation around, I feel like it's a struggle for me to feel like it's okay to post that sort of thing, like,
Mm.
um and the sense that yeah, but like with everything going on, it feels a bit flippant, or it feels, you're off enjoying yourself while people are having bombs on their head, like
Mm.
dropped on their head. And actually coming to the thought of like it's it's these things that make life meaningful, and it's these things that actually like we escape like we get away from the war for, like it's art, it's creativity, it's all these things that make life and make humanity a beautiful thing, that actually we need to just like, not in a insensitive and like over the top way, but just keep reminding, I need to keep reminding myself and keep connecting with others around these things, that actually these are the important things, these are the meaningful things, um, that are worth, you know, getting to. And yeah, I don't know.
And
It's a difficult thing to.
and we make it difficult, I think,
That's
because we're
probably true.
trying to
Yeah,
cognitively think about it and try to make
overthink it.
sense of it and overthink it and question ourselves and go into all of that. But in reality, isn't it just life? That is what life is. It's like there is no stasis. There is no one emotion is the one, is the one, is the one forever and ever. No, because I
Yeah.
get curious and then I get confused and then I get sad and then I get happy and then I get confused again. And then, it's like, so this thing of I am, you know, there is, I would say, and there was and has always been humor and laughter and love and connection in concentration camps, in
Hmm.
prisons, in the bomb shelter, along with terror and sadness and overwhelming grief and fright, you know,
Yeah.
all there. It's like it's
Yeah.
all there. It is all there now and again.
Hmm.
Uh, and just being able to hold that is maybe that's part of the challenge, because I think that we people who go into this, oh, you can't laugh about this, you can't make jokes about
Mm.
that. It's like it is that trying to ward off the humor because the sadness or the grief or the terror is so overwhelmingly present that they can't see that it is just one of the bubbles of what
Yeah.
is life. Um,
I think a lot of the time as well, the I don't know what the right term is, but the humor police is what just came into my head. But like, because laughter is at the core of absolutely everything. You know, from my work as an undertaker, it was like
yeah,
laughter was, in the back of my limousines. You're taking families to funerals, and even going and doing call outs when their loved ones just died, and you're going and sort of being there in the immediacy of that moment. There's a lot of laughter. I mean, there's nervous laughter and sort of unsure that kind of style laughter, but there's a real expansive sense of humor that comes through tragedy and comes through those moments that has to be there. Like, it's entwined in those moments. And I think a lot of the humor police are people on the outside of that. And so would be looking at it
yes,
like, how could you possibly laugh at that? Because they're looking on, maybe on social media, they're looking on from afar. They're not in the midst of that. But we've all experienced, you know, even sort of trivial moments of struggle, especially when it's with other people, where you just maybe get through to the other side, or you have a moment to pause and you're just like, whew,
yeah,
let's laugh
yeah,
about that, like
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
and
And it is
there's
such an
something really
important
powerful.
release. It is a release.
Hmm.
There's a I don't know if if it's a neutralizer in a sense. Maybe that's what it does. It's like there's all of this tension and everything, and just the laughter comes and okay. And then
Yeah,
we can start to build up the tension again.
yeah,
And then we're at the peak and we can't fucking take it anymore. And then comes the release, the laughter that neutralizes it. Oh,
yeah. It's like an ebb and flow, and
yeah.
I think there's something bonding in it as well. That that especially when you think about sort of the going through something together, um, and the ability to then laugh together about the challenge you faced or the struggle that you've been through, forges this bond between you that then it's almost the story is glued at that point, that you then carry with you together, even as you go separate ways. Maybe you've always got that bonded story, and I think, like, I mean, it's a feature of, it's like horror films. You always they're um, peppered with comic relief, like
Yes.
as you,
Because
that
you have
heightened tension.
to. Yeah.
Yeah, you have this extreme
Yeah.
climax, and then
Yeah.
it drops, and then something lightens the mood,
Builds
or
up again.
something
Yeah.
funny happens. Yeah.
You can put sex into this too, right? It's like, okay, it's the wham bam thank you ma'am version. It's like, okay, just the one. Or you can do the build up and then you just let it go a little bit. And then, which leads you to a higher state somehow. You are able to tolerate or enjoy more of it, which I think is probably the same thing about laughter and terror. That if I am able to get myself the release from the laughter, I'm actually, which is horrible to say in a sense, but able to tolerate, to live through
Hmm.
greater senses of terror, because I get to kind of just, okay, I can breathe for a little bit here. And then, you know, um, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I think it is.
That's a really interesting. That's it. I don't know if it was a video or reading about the Dalai Lama and Desmond Tutu, who it might have been someone called Rob Bell. I think it was Rob. So he met them, and he was struck by the fact that they just giggled together
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just
silly
had
old
so much
men.
fun.
Yeah,
Just like really like this childlike spirit and bond between them, and actually that you're thinking about, people who are really strong in the despite you know all sorts of terrible things happening through their life, and maybe in their where they live or in their own personal life, whatever. Like that, the strengthening does happen in that sort of way. Like the ability to laugh and to go, through that peak
yeah,
and
yeah.
um, release. Like
So maybe
actually, that's
that's
a
a survival, not instinct, but mechanism.
mm,
Those who could laugh were able to face graver dangers, more strenuous feats,
hmm
and thus got, survival of the fittest, whatever, got an advantage so that, okay, yeah, you actually are the fittest, not because you are the strongest, but because you can laugh, relax, and then go a little bit further.
yeah, yeah. I wonder whether how that's linked to our relationship with like joy. Joy of not being an absence of pain and struggle, but actually it all being that ability, like the holding everything together in that sort of mixing pot, where yeah, 'cause that's where it's sort of different from pleasure or from happiness. It's this capacity to hold everything. Yeah.
I've been, I rented a car Tuesday morning. It's Thursday today. I rented a car Tuesday morning and I drove 350, 60, 70 kilometers north. And I did a hygienic design training workshop, which was great
Oh, wow.
fun. Um, and then I drove to France and I stayed there. And then I drove home last night. But during the drive, I have only been listening to an audiobook of uh, A Little Life by Hanya. Let's see what her name is so that I actually say Hanya Yanagihara. It was shortlisted for the Man Booker Prize in 2015. This brick of a book, and it's like 32 hours in the audiobook. Shit, I've never listened to an audiobook that long. Um, but I'm like 8 hours in, 9 hours in now. That's how long it
hmm
takes to drive
Yeah.
750 kilometers. And I don't know how the story will unravel. I from the uh, recommendations I've gotten, I've understood it's a heart-wrenching, not very uplifting, I think, story. And it is a heart-wrenching, not very uplifting, and very uplifting at the same time story. I won't spoil it for anybody, but the main character is a person in pain, is a person who have gone through hell in his life since birth. Uh, afflicted pain. Not because I'm born this way, but because people have been just plain fucking horrible to him.
Yeah.
And what we're speaking about now feels as if it is an aspect that he's actually missing. The way this character is built up, there isn't. That release isn't there. So 9 hours in, I am bristling
Mm.
when the story is his story because they kind of shift, and
Right.
it is this fuck. You have to get yourself the release, and he just doesn't seem to do that ever, 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 and the pain just gets worse and worse and worse. So it's what we are now speaking about. It feels like, yeah, this is what he's not doing, which is part of why it is so painful to listen to this book.
It's really fascinating. It'd be interesting. What can you think of ways that the maybe some of the things that you do for that release? It's like obviously we're talking about kind of massive, like big challenges and terror and trauma, but actually like in the everyday, because I think this starts with the ability to do it just in the everyday. I wonder what are your kind of releases?
I have a lot of them, I think. Um, Reading is one of them. Not necessarily reading this type of book,
Yeah.
but other types of books where it is, where some other part of me gets engaged, um, in a sense. I dance. I put on songs and I dance and sing,
Hmm.
which also gives me that sense of, okay, it gets me the same type of feeling that, okay, I'm neutralizing. I'm like, okay, baseline again, back to baseline. Um, I walk. I I try to take a walk every day, and now weather is, spring is approaching. I will do barefoot walks more and more, where I'm actually barefoot, out in the nature recreational area that is just across the street from here, which grounds me because, it is so much fun to come across a puddle when you're walking barefoot. It is so much fun. It's so much fun to walk in mud when you're barefoot because the squish between your toes is just delightful, right? So I think it's um, an observational. Uh, I have trained myself to observe and to kind of pick up on the little joys. I was the other day, I came home again after a walk, and I saw that on the street is paved over, and then there's the pavement, and there's this granite rock kind of as the boundary between the two, and just next to the granite rock and the paved street, a little crocus or crocus, and pack, five of them, five beautiful purple crocus blooms. And I was just astonished. It's like, and just
Hmm.
seeing that. So I think that's probably one of the ways that I help myself get back to baseline is that I notice and enjoy. I
Yeah.
notice and am elated. I notice and I giggle. It's like, I wonder if that's not part of the bigger, like, that's kind of the umbrella of my
Hmm.
releases. It's the noticing or allowing
So
myself to
noticing
just,
and allowing yourself to feel what you feel in response to
yes.
noticing.
What do you
Yeah,
do?
and there's a physical kind of hearing that
There's
the
mm-hmm.
physical aspect, which like I don't know how it is for you, but for me, the physical side, whether it's the walking or the running, even like playing music. The physical part of playing
Yeah.
music
Yeah.
is the sort of getting out of my own head in the sense of the overthinking
Yeah.
things, because I think that's what it often comes down to, and the thread of the you can't laugh at that, like that's
Yep.
an
It's
overthinking, that's a
yep.
it's a cognitive control, like as you're sort of scrolling through or reading things, and you can't laugh at it. Yeah, I think actually
Mm.
feeling your body in relationship with the world around you, as you say with the barefoot walking,
Yeah.
is a way to do that. Yeah.
And I mean, the main character of A Little Life, the book, it's very apparent that he is through childhood he never had anybody really show him how to get that release. It was,
Hmm.
it was just terror.
Yeah.
It's like constant, so that there's no there, or hardly anybody to look at to go, huh, they're laughing, I could laugh. It's like, because I think that it's probably partly comes from us, but also we need to have the role models around us who show us how
Absolutely.
it's done. And I don't know if I've told you this, but I was out walking on the Bulltofta, um, well, last spring maybe or something. I was barefoot. It was still, 10 degrees out, so it wasn't warm. And here comes this little toddler with mom and dad wearing, overalls and boots and stuff, and was squishing in the puddle. And here I come
Mm.
barefoot and I start to squish in the this
Hmm.
little kid just that's an adult doing that, looking
Yeah.
at mom and dad, looking at me, looking at looking at her own feet. Look, it's like again. So yeah, there I modeled something. She was already doing it, but
Hmm.
kids know that adults are different than kids
Yeah.
in the same way that adults know that kids are different than adults, you know, in the same way
Hmm.
that Pop the cat knows when he's engaging with a kid or when an adult. We
Hmm.
know. But she was just, I could see the dots being connected in her
Yeah.
brain as she was like, ah, you can do that as an adult too. And even worse, because she's not wearing any shoes. Um,
Just thank goodness her parents didn't come over and say, get away from the crazy person. That would have had the opposite effect. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Which you could imagine happening with some people,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. That's really important. Like it's so right about the modeling and the teaching, because it's not something I've ever learned really. It's not something you learn in school. I don't. Well, it certainly wasn't when I was at school. Maybe different now, but the because it's almost an unproductive thing in the sense of having a direct result attached to it. Um, you know, like if you think about laughter, like that's actually squashed in school. Like that was always seen as you're being silly or you're disruptive.
Mm.
Like laughter is the sound of, for some it's the sound of kids being naughty. It's like tied to all sorts of things that actually just, yeah, make it a thing we learn is not appropriate. Or yeah,
We
that's
learn
yeah,
to
I've not thought
squish
about that.
it.
That's interesting. Yeah,
Um,
you've got to be
and
serious.
yeah, and the other thing I'm thinking as we're talking about this and how I connected to this A Little Life book, um, is the aspect of, taking my thoughts seriously as if they are real, true, absolute in a
Hmm.
sense, and how my life really shifted when I understood, not just intellectually, but emotionally, that, okay, because thoughts are like the national state, they are transient,
Mm.
they are
Mm.
not fixed, God given, it's like they come and they go. Um, in the same way that emotions come and go because thoughts come and go. So emotions have to come and go because they're linked.
Yeah.
Thought, emotion. Oh, okay. But so, and the observational aspect on that, me seeing my thought, picking up on the emotion I'm feeling and going, how's this one? You know, what's this one doing to me? Which I think is one of the reasons why I say now I don't have the bandwidth to go into the Ukraine Russia thing and just soak everything in, because no, you know, I I I won't be able to do much else then. And
Yeah.
right now I need to have bandwidth for other things. And I can make that choice because I'm not in Ukraine.
Hmm.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Yes, I
Yeah.
am privileged that way. Yes, I am. I have the choice to, okay, I can set that aside because it's not my here and now. It's not in my
Hmm.
face. It isn't yet bombs dropping here in Malmö. If it is, okay, leveling up.
Yeah.
Then I have to gather my bandwidth, the bandwidth I have, and put it into focus in that area. Okay,
Hmm.
survive. But I don't have to do that because it's not a survival matter
Yeah.
right now for me in Malmö, Sweden.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. I think that's you've summed that up so well. And because I think, like, thinking about the overthinking that goes around. Well, can I? While that's going on, can I do this or should I share that? There's a lot of kind of guilt maybe tied up in that, which is not helpful to, because if you have such little bandwidth taken up by things over which you have no control, you that's not good for you, and it's not good for the world, because coming back to that kind of sense of, we need to be us doing the things that we are able to do, because that's what injects meaning into the world. And
Mhm.
yeah, when you're in that situation directly, everything shifts. You're in a state of emergency and urgency, and you need to adapt to that and adjust to that and face that head on. um but yeah, it's kind of recognizing, okay, I have power over how I engage with this, and I can choose that. And I can be engaged in ways that maybe help in ways that I want to, or ways that I can. Um, but ultimately, the best thing that I can do as well is just to do what I do, and connect with people in meaningful ways, and connect with my work, or my life's work, and that kind of stuff. Um, and I think we stall sometimes. We have a tendency um, to see something going on, and we just say, okay, everything's got to be on hold until this is over, or until I can think properly again. And in the current, like the way the world is now, with 24/7 media and everybody vying for attention and getting clicks and everything, that time will never come. So it's a constant stalling, a constant putting off the important thing until down the line, and that point will never come. So
And I've been like going specific. It's I opened Goodreads, my Goodreads app this morning because I wanted to type in 139 is the page I'm on the One Straw Revolution. I wanted to type in my progress. And it asks I don't know, every 5 times I open it, every 10 times I open it or something. You don't have your notifications on. Do you want to turn on your notifications? No, I don't. I have made that choice and I don't want to have to remake the choice because the choice has been made. This is me. I don't want to do that. And there are so many apps that ask me that. And I'm
Yeah.
going, screw you. You know,
Yeah.
take me on my word on this. I have made a decision.
Yeah.
No, I don't want you to throw out little hooks to try to drag me into your life. It's like I open this app when I want to because I want to, not because there's a three going, ooh, who has been
Hmm.
doing something. No, I don't want any of that. I have it on my own, text messages. That's the only thing I have that I have a notification on. Nothing else. I don't even have it
Yeah.
on WhatsApp. I just have it on the actual text messages.
Right. Hmm.
It's like I don't want the other stuff. I don't have it
Yeah.
on Slack. I don't have it on Signal. And they ask me, do you want to? No, I don't. Stop.
Yeah. I noticed because I've turned all mine off. I turned them off on everything, but then reached
Yes.
a point where I was like, no, I do need to see when certain messages are coming through, so I'll
Yes.
turn it on messages. Um, but yeah, it's hilarious the way that it's framed as well, as if did you know we can make your life easier by giving you the notifications? And it is. It's like once every, I don't know, couple of weeks on most apps, and it comes up as a notification as well, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Like on
Yeah.
Twitter, comes up, oh, I've got
Yeah.
a notification. Like you go into the app, got a notification. You can turn notifications on. But I've told you
What did you
before
miss?
many times I don't want to turn
Yeah.
notifications.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, it's kind of a, this is part of the things that makes me cringe at the way we set things up. I mean, humans, kind
Hmm.
of that. Here is this thing. I understand why Goodreads or Twitter want me to spend time on their service because that is how they get, more user mileage, so to speak, and then they can
Yeah.
get better, marketing deals because people will want to put ads on their platform and whatnot, whatnot. And I just don't. It's like, that's what I don't like. I don't
Hmm.
like that. I I want everybody, everything, all of the services that we are using to be there. Okay, this is going to sound goody two shoeing, but to make a better world. And that
Yeah.
does not mean that I should spend my entire day on Twitter. That doesn't make for a better world. It can absolutely do if and when I want to and need to and feel like, yes, now I can bring something to the world. And right now I'll choose Twitter. Fine.
Mm.
But this dragging in, this gamification, this manipulative gamification, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Not it's
stop.
and it's the relentless. It's probably quite a good metaphor for other things. I'm not sure what, but like that relentless not taking no for an answer. So I think I'd seen someone posted something like that the other day actually about a no, a yes after you've basically worn someone down so for such a long time because they
Yeah,
keep saying no, 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 and eventually they say yes.
yeah,
That is still a no. Like, and it's
yes,
that kind of, I don't know. It's almost like rape culture-y in terms of, okay, if we just ask and ask and ask, eventually they're going to give in and say yes.
yeah.
And it's
And
like
then,
that.
woo, we got one more.
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly. And it just constantly drilling down into. But you said you wanted it, so yeah, it's it's awful. Like yeah, and that's infused into
yeah,
just baked into the even the simple places like the apps we use, the way our apps interact with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't take
And
no for an answer.
it links kind of to what we've been speaking about a couple of times when we spoke about the your music and my book, and this thing about new people can come to them and they are of value to them. But yeah, I released it a year ago, you released music 9 years, it's like, so this constant pop-up culture, of pop-up windows, of like throwing it in the face of where I am 100% absolutely certain I would have sold more books, and I haven't sold that many books, if I had a pop up on my
Yeah.
website that said, hey, you know that, or do you want to subscribe to, or, flashy, flashy, flashy. So you'd have to click the little X to get rid of it. Um, I get so annoyed when I have to click the little X that I don't want to have that on my
Mm.
page. But that means that they don't know that I have a book. That, it's kind of a good little book, I think. So it's like, who am I punishing? What's the result of my action or my decisions to do or not do? It's like, what does it lead to? What's the cost benefit? It's like, I
Mm.
don't know, but I just, everything just goes, no, I don't want to do that
Yeah.
way. How the heck do I do it then?
Yeah. Which is the eternal question. Yeah.
Which is
And
the
that's
eternal
because
question.
that's coming back to your core values, isn't it? There's something resonating in you where you resent having to click that X and it's like, that is not something that I want. And that's what you're then coming face to face with is a fundamental value that you have within, whatever that kind of looks like tangibly. I don't know, but yeah, I have the same thing, and with yeah, I suppose, yeah, hearing you say that about pop-ups, the kind of the consent thing is that's like our modern way of marketing is never take no for an answer. If they say no today, it might just be they weren't in the right place. We'll ask them again tomorrow, and it's not just. I think there's ways to market in softer and gentler and more kind of like, yes, this is still here if you want it, like an offer that isn't bang in the middle of the screen, like you have to say.
Yes.
And it's when they come up and say like, no, I don't, this advertising something like, I don't know, some security system that then says, yes, I want this, or no, I don't want to protect my family, or something like that. And it's got this manipulative, emotional thing
Yeah.
attached to it, which,
Hook.
is proven to work. Like it
Yes.
absolutely works.
Yes. Because
Um,
it shames us. That's what that
it,
thing does.
shame is
It actually
absolutely through
fucking
that. Yeah.
shames us, which
Yeah.
is just horrific.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. And it's I don't know, gaslighting is a too commonly used phrase nowadays, but like it is that sense of of manipulation that is we see in all sorts of areas of life, where it's like, if you say no, this says something that you should be ashamed of, or this means that you don't care about this, or you like, it's all that really manipulative
yeah. It's
language, which
ways of
it knows what it's
nudging.
doing.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
nudging
Yeah.
used
And it's so
at the
disrespectful.
benefit of. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it is not respecting a no. It's not allowing somebody to be empowered in the decision they make. It's yeah, and it's not accepting no for an answer. So I suppose as we sort of, something I'm mindful of when I'm thinking about marketing is, okay, how can I make sure people can access what it is that I've got there, because I believe in it and I want people to download things and buy things and sign up for things. Um, and it's how you make that a smooth thing that is easy to do, like very simple for people to do, but without employing those tactics. And it might mean you don't sell as many, you don't shift as many, but it does mean, I don't know, I think you start off with a better relationship with the people that you
Yeah.
work with. But if you
Yes.
respect somebody and they, I don't know, they sign up to your thing because they feel respected, and they feel respected, then that is a partnership that's going to work a lot better than being shamed into.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just, a couple of months ago, I first stumbled upon people who told me about how there are email services where you can create a 10-minute email address. So you can have an email address and then you activate it somehow. It's like, okay, now I'm going to sign up for the Andy Mort because then I get to download this thing that I want, and then I don't ever want to get anything from Andy Mort again. Then I can create this, my handle in the email plus Andy Mort at, my email
Mm-hmm.
address. And I can use that one when I sign up. I will get the download and then you will be bouncing around. Whatever you tried to send at me will just be, I don't know,
Yeah.
like flotsam in space, like just floating around somewhere.
Yeah.
And I just went, how weird that that's a thing.
Hmm.
This is enough of an annoyance to people. It happens enough so that somebody actually came up with a
Yeah.
thing going, maybe if I create a temporary email address so I get what I want and then fuck that person because she's, whatever, is not interested in me. They are just
Mm-hmm.
interested in my money
Yeah.
or attention or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
going, so, and this is, where did we go wrong there? It's like, again, it's like you put, this is also part of this, like you say, not taking no for an answer. It's like, I need your email address. Well, fuck you. You will get a
Mm.
10-minute one, then it won't ever be
Yeah.
valid again. It's like
Yeah.
at war with each other, battling each other instead of, okay, how can, it's like, what can we do? Well, I can respect you. You can respect me. Okay. Can I send you an email now and again? Yeah. Because a lot of these, there's been a changing of the gods, a documentary, I don't know, 11 1-hour shows based on Richard Tarnas's book, Cosmos and the Psyche, which is a mind blowing book in many ways. But
Mm.
I signed up for it. And I don't know the amount of emails I've gotten. You know, I got 10 emails before the thing came, and then I had to register again, I think, to be able to get the thing that I've registered for. And then I get at least 2 or 3 emails every day with, this is today's episode. And then tomorrow I'll get one saying, you still have a little chance to see yesterday's episode. And then I get 3 saying, here's today's. And I'm going,
Oh, exhausting.
it is exhausting. It's like, no, no, that's just not, it's just not. Don't do that. Don't do that.
So, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
can imagine it works at the same time because at the 5th email, I go, okay, I'll click the link and I'll
Mhm.
watch the thing when I'm cooking or something. And maybe I wouldn't have if I didn't. But at what cost?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I can hear that I'm annoyed. Is that the energy you want people speaking about your thing?
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah. Because it's almost exasperation is making you click that link eventually. Like, what the hell is this? Okay, right. Will this stop? Will this shut you up? Yes. Okay. And yeah, and again, yeah, coming back to that, that is not consent. That's a
No,
how
no.
can I stop this pain that I'm experiencing because of you?
Yes, 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 precisely, precisely. Which
Yeah.
is just, it's like, no, don't do that. And
Mm.
I've gotten that from, I've been doing the sashiko stitching for half a year or something, and I've really, really enjoyed it. And I signed up to something, and the same thing. It's like, "No, don't." And then I signed up for one thing, the 24 days of sashiko in the fall, which was lovely because it was just that thing. She said, sign up for this, you'll get one email every day. And I got those 24 emails. Then, yes, I still get an email now and again from her, but not every day, not selling, 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 selling. It's like, okay, a week after, it's like, how did you find that thing? And do you know that I have these workshops online as well? It's like, yeah, that feels like she's found a way where I can keep my curiosity and feel that she's being generous for telling me about new opportunities rather than I'm going to pound you into submission. It's like,
Yeah.
no, don't do that thing. Don't pound me into submission. You won't like
Exactly.
what I'm bringing to the table then.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just so disappointing, especially when it is someone or something that you are really keen and interested in. And it's like, I signed up because I wanted to build some kind of positive relationship with you or with this. And what that, what it does in your mind about it cheapens, you feel like a number, you feel cheap, you feel like, oh, they don't actually care. And that changes your relationship with even the concept of that thing. And I find, yeah, I just find it really disappointing when it's like there have been figures, people who I've been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna follow them. I'm gonna sign up for their mailing list because they've probably got some really interesting things to share, and I want to receive the emails. Weirdly, but then once they start coming, it's like, oh, they're just trying to sell me this and trying to sell me that, and everything is about my financial value to them. Um, and yeah, and then that just changes. Then it sort of corrupts the way that you see that person. It's like, oh, I thought you were about something more than this, but no, you're the same
Yeah,
kind of greedy capitalist as
yeah,
yeah that you
yeah.
actually, and often a lot of the time it's like you're espousing, you're talking about things that are counter to this. You're you're speaking about values and vision that for a better world, for different ways of doing things. It's like, but you're employing exactly the same tactics as the people that you're having a go at,
Mm,
and yeah, it's just
yeah,
the integrity is missing there.
yeah. Yeah, and I was speaking to a friend about this, saying that there's the inner ethics committee just goes, no, right? And it's like,
Yeah.
and my inner ethics committee goes no when I think about how I can market or put myself out there too. And it's like, and I don't want to overrule my inner ethics committee,
Mm.
but I also want people to read my book.
Yeah.
So how? What's the trick? What's the ways? What's the energy? What are, I mean, it's easy to kind of go, what's the metrics for this? But it's like, what's the root?
Mm.
How do I ground in such a way that the ethics committee will go, yes, we like this ad, or we like this ask, or we like this email newsletter, whatever. It's like this one it's, oh yeah, this is a good thing because this one represents me rather than ethics committee screaming no and going and doing it anyway. Like, mm-mm-mm.
Mm. Yeah, I suppose it's thinking about in my mind. It's the difference between like an invitation and a demand or a command to somebody, like the the expansive versus
Yeah. Yeah.
constricting thing
Yeah.
that we've talked about over and over. It's like it's an invitation into something that might open your world up and open up a relationship between my book and you, and thus me and you, versus your life will be shit unless you buy this book or you download this thing. So I'm commanding you, you have to do this. And so maybe just thinking about words
Mm.
to describe that in those interactions. Um, and yeah, I don't think it doesn't require a massive shift. It's energy is a good word that you used. It's the it's just changing from the urgency to the like, no, there's time for this. It's not like you have to do this by a certain point, or you have to do this otherwise your life's going to fall apart. It's like if you want more of this in your life, then I've got this. Like this is something that I've created that means this to me. And it's thinking with email, one of the things I'm really mindful of at the moment, working on, been sort of culling my email list a bit. I've like halved it based on cold subscribers, and I think I've actually found quite a few of those
The 10
emails, that
minutes.
the 10-minute emails, which yeah, it's quite helpful to. It's actually halved the amount of money that I'm spending hosting my email list as well as a result, which is quite nice. So when people unsubscribe, it's it's a useful thing to have happen, because it's like, okay, yeah, self-regulate that. Um, but it's thinking in terms of long term as well, like everything around marketing, like the urgency, the short term, getting people to act quickly, and yeah, making people feel like, okay, there's a problem that I need to address immediately. Whereas, I mean, my whole thing is like being a slow coach. It's stepping into the rhythms and the pace that we move as individuals, and the way that I put stuff out has to kind of reflect that. And my emails, it's kind of, yeah, I'm building trust, building relationships over time, just by sharing things going on for me and seeing how that might connect with other people and their situations. And every so often it will be, yeah, I've got this, if you want to learn more, here's a way you can go deeper. But yeah, just not sort of smashing people around the face with those things is a part of that whole. It's looking at the whole, I think, and everything being marketing as well, and that trust building and stuff.
Yeah, and it's like two things pop up. One is I have had no, well, the leaflets you get in the mail, commercial
Mm,
ads. It's like I've had a note saying I don't want any of that for 25 years. But
yeah.
then I go home to somebody who has, and it's like, they get 7 centimeters of just ads, you know,
Yeah.
on a daily basis. The
Yeah.
amount of trees, it's just, and it is this, that's that same type of here it is, here it is, here it is. And
Mm,
it's red and it's yellow and glaring colors, alarming colors to make me want to see, oh, what's there, right? It's like,
yeah.
yeah, talk about gamifying. But
Mm,
also in the creative workshop, Seth Godin, one of the prompts there was his and I mean he uses the ugly tricks now and again too, right? But at the root of it, he speaks about marketing as something else, and he speaks about it as an offer. It's the generous thing to do, to tell the world about what you have to offer. Which,
mhm.
when I first came across it, it was like, hmm, that shifted something for my inner ethics committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's not for me. It is, here's something that you might enjoy and have value
Yeah.
in, whatever that be, a painting or a coaching session or a book or a song. Um, but it's like I'm I wrote down here. It's like, I wonder if it's time for me to set up some type of specific mastermind group on marketing, because it feels as if I would be helped by keeping this top of mind for a while. Actually finding what are the words, what is the energy, what's the metric, how do I do it my way, how do you do it your way, so that it is this wholeness to it, rather than, okay, yeah, here's the metric. It says we can send it out a little bit more often and then, it will go up. No, not the bits, the wholeness of it. Um, yeah.
Yeah. And recognizing that that's so important, that we probably all will do things naturally slightly differently. And so it's not about, finding this model, this new model of doing things, and then packaging that and selling it to
Yeah.
me, because that so often that's what happens, isn't it? Oh, right, this is the new thing that
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Do these five
rather than
steps.
exactly, and it's like just really going in with the ethics committee and thinking about, okay, what works for me, what provides the results that I need, recognizing, okay, yeah, I do need to sell these things or keep the business running and whatnot. And that's very important. And that, those metrics will be different for me to somebody else. My enough point is different to somebody else's enough point, and my definition of success is different to somebody else's definition of success. So with that in mind, what feels good to me in terms of the marketing as well, like it's looking at those different things together, not running with other people's definitions necessarily, using maybe kind of the influence of other people, the inspiring, the stuff that does sit well, that you're like, oh yeah, that's a nice way of doing things. And then rather than just emulating it as a model, saying, how can I integrate that into my own way of doing things? Yeah.
Which is the only way to get the ethics committee to say, yeah, we're on board.
Yeah,
We're
exactly.
doing a good thing. It's like, if I take this ready, set formula, just click in, here's name, here's
Hmm.
your offer, here's the price. Click. Like, no, no, ethics committee will strike.
Exactly.
Most
Yeah.
definitely. Um, but
And I remember that fit. I had that years ago now, when I'd followed, I don't know if I talked before about it, but followed Jeff Walker's product launch formula. Don't know if you've come across that. Very much very formulaic way of launching a product, or a service, and then cart open, even, and like I picked someone up on this recently. Even there's a template for an email that after you've opened the cart, send an email saying, something went wrong with it, but everything's okay now. Like, say there were more people trying to visit the page than I anticipated, so it went down. I apologize. I've sorted it out. And it, like, I, and again, it was a company that I respected. About 2 months ago, launched something, and then basically sent that email, and I was just like, I just sent an email back saying, I'm really disappointed that you've, like, because that you're lying. That's not true, what you've just said. And because it was almost a humble brag, in the sense of,
yeah, but we've
so many
sorted it
people,
now. Yes,
yeah.
yes,
And
just for
I think that
you.
was it was a, we were because they'd set it up. We're going to sell 200, and once we've hit 200, then that's it. That's all we're selling. So I think the thing was, I vastly underestimated the demand for this. So I've decided to make it 1,000 or something like that. So but only for the next 2 days. So and it was all under this the language of like, I'm so sorry, I've messed up. Like, I didn't realize that it was good. It's like, I just sent an email back saying, like, please don't, like, you've got a great thing going
Yeah.
here. It's a really great product. Like,
Don't
it
do the cheap
pains me
tricks.
to see you
Yeah.
going for that. Yeah, it's just really disappointing. Like, my trust in you has just taken a hit
Did
because
you
I
get a
like, it is out
response?
of no, no. But hopefully, it, even if it just sort of
Like,
gives a little
yeah.
nudge to them of, oh, yeah, opens that inner ethics committee. Maybe adds a point to the agenda for the next meeting. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's like, and so I'd like read this Jeff Walker's book. It's been about 2000, 2015, 2016. And so kind of sent, like, I used the templates and created a launch for my membership, like a launch period. And so used that as the model. And I remember someone sent an email back to me, not referring to it, to the model itself, but just being like, this feels manipulative or something like that. And it was a real, oh yeah, you're right, you're so
It
right.
is.
Like, and
It
that
is. That's
really
the whole point.
does, yeah, well, exactly, yeah. And it was almost being called out, was that moment of, oh yeah, no, as much as I've sort of dressed it up in my own language, that's really, and I knew, and that's what I'm trying to do. And there's something about that that really just tore me in half. That was like, oh, the, and I guess there's that integrity, the integration within me was like totally off. And I thought, right, I need to stop that.
Did
So I
you?
pulled the plug on.
You did?
Yeah, I pulled the plug on it
Kudos to
immediately.
you. Kudos to
Yeah,
you, Andy, because I think that's what I'm guessing is part of the lure of this. It's like, yeah, inner ethics committee is not so happy, but hey, I'm getting new memberships, so I will
yeah,
go for it. But instead, it's like, no, the memberships I will get, I will have gotten on a
through those means.
weird
Yeah,
energy that I don't want. That's not how I
exactly.
want to create relationships. So kudos to you for that.
Yeah, and I mean, it did work as well. That was the
Yeah,
that was the thing. It was like, oh, this is working. I'm catching these fish. It's brilliant.
yeah, yeah.
But then there was something about, yeah, having that. It was, oh, yeah, that it's
That's
almost
not
a
how I want
mirror.
to fish.
Just, yeah, exactly, a mirror being held up and like, is this the person you want to be? Is
And it's a I'm glad you brought up fish because like I'm a vegetarian now and I'm pondering going back to being flexitarian, which for me I was that for years before I turned vegetarian. For me is avoiding industrialized meat of any kind. But okay, game or going fishing myself or
mm,
it's like it is kind of that thing. The what's his name? John Walker. Um
Jeff Walker? Yeah,
Jeff Walker. That is the industrialized fishing, right? How do I get as many fish as possible? Yeah, that's the way you do it, but it's not sustainable. It it has a big uh surplus waste because you catch all of the fish, even though there's maybe three of them that really are right for this, that want
mm,
this, that are interested in this. But I get the other ones because there's the urgency and there's the manipulation and all, and I'd better click. Instead of, okay, I'm going fishing myself and I know what I want to catch. So I have the little hook is made that way so that it will catch the fish, you know, that go, oh, I want that. Yes, you do want that. It's a great analogy.
That's brilliant. That works really well. Yeah. And I guess so it was having all of those fish, the too many fish for you to
To deal
cope with.
with, yes.
Yeah. And there's other people who also need to eat their fish. They need to catch
Yes.
fish. And
Yes.
you might have their fish,
Yeah.
but you're turning those fish bitter
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
caught them through this means, and
Yeah.
they might not
Yeah.
ever, they might be wary of
Yeah,
hooks
yeah, and then
if
they
even if they
won't
go back into the
precisely.
water.
If they go back, then they won't do the thing that is this is the thing for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ah, there it
So
is.
this is our fifth conversation, Andy, and I can hardly believe how quick it goes. But before we wrap, I want to hear, where are the kids? How are the songs?
They are. What was the last
They
update that
were
I gave you?
teenagers last. You had put on drums and stuff, and you up the beats per minute on one of the songs. So they were like
No, that's right.
taking on this. Okay, I'm choosing my clothes. That's where we were at last time.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so I'd had the drum recording session, uh, and so the first single is now chosen, and I'm working on produce. I was supposed to be mixing it the Friday before I came to Finland, so whenever that was, beginning of March. But my laptop went in for repair unexpectedly, and so I ended up not being able to do the work I needed to on the track before the session. So yeah, it's going to be mixed probably start of April now. So I haven't done any work on it while I'm out here yet, but I'm looking forward to a nice view of the mountain, the snowscape out the window. So I'm looking forward to doing some work on just producing the track, which I finished the recording stuff on. I was staying with some friends, the friends with whom I was staying when I wrote
When
the
they
whole
were
album.
born, yeah.
Yeah. So I was staying with them again in February and recorded all the vocals and did a bit of production work. Had some it was really interesting back and forths with Matt, who's the engineer slash sort of exec producer, about whether there were some things in the song that were not quite. It's like it's not quite feeling right, and he gave some really. Who talked before about just having that sense of it needs to be more you. There needs to be more here. I don't know what that might mean, but take the shackles off and
Go with it.
bring more of the
Uh,
experiment. Yeah. So did that, and that opened up some really interesting territory for it. So yeah, it's I'm really excited to share it because
so,
feels
did
good.
you choose the first single, or did the first single say, I'm it?
A kind of mixture. So I sent the very earliest demo, so just me, a piano, to a few people and just said, let me know which of the songs stand out. Like, which ones are you like immediately grabbed by? And I mean, everybody had different ones, which is quite unhelpful.
Yep.
But the one, so Sleep It Off is the name of it, was kept that there was a consistency to that coming up,
Okay.
and it was one that I'd thought really sets the tone for I guess the themes and the direction that the whole album is kind of moving in. So it's kind of about. I did a project launch live stream gig just before the 6th of March, just to trying to sort of self-fund the production of it. So it was like a ticketed event to raise some money. And yeah, it feels like it's kind of about I guess the stuff we've been talking about, really. but when you are just this idea of being like anxious about the future, looking at the way things are, and just feeling like, oh, I think I'm just going to sleep it off. I'm just going to,
Mm.
get my head
Mm.
down, wake me up when it's all over.
Mm.
And so, yeah, that's the kind of theme of it, and it feels like timing wise, again, it's right as a setting. Like, I think it's something that, from the feedback I was getting after the live stream, it was like people are relating to that. There's oh yeah, so it feels like the right one from many
Cool. Oh, I
angles.
can't wait to hear it. Once it's launched, you'll have to send it to me or make sure that I see it. I'm sure that I will
I'll make
see it
sure you
because
do.
I
Yeah,
do follow you. Uh, but yeah, I can't wait
but
because
yeah,
it's like
it's
I've
growing
been
up
a little bit of
fast.
part of this. It feels like
Yeah,
because I've been like tagging along here, alongside you, which has been
you
just
have. Yeah,
lovely.
all along that.
Yeah,
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 from the birth to the
yeah,
whatever
yeah,
this part of the journey is. Yeah,
yep. Moving out
adulthood.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah,
So thank you for today, Andy. And thank you for all of this. And we will be speaking again with Izzy and Matthew and Caspia.
yeah. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, we did the first group session with Steve, Reddy, and Inma, and Caspian and
Mm.
me. It is so lovely to mm, to get you guys together and see what are the similarities, what are the differences, what's the feeling, what is the energy,
Yeah.
what how are the ripples, from being a part of this. What it's great fun. So
Sure.
I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to that conversation too.
How long did that first one go on for?
I think an hour 40 or something.
Okay, so not the 3.5 hours.
Not the 3.5 hours. No, I was mindful about that. Luckily. But yeah, we could, it's like the feeling I had in the room that we were in was that we couldn't go on 3.5 hours because the energy was just there. But again,
Yeah,
trying to not do that.
attuned.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I really, really appreciate the opportunity and the invitation to do this, to bring those words that we used earlier. Yeah, it's been such a nice way to have an elongated conversation. I really love this format. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I enjoy that too. That's part of what I miss when I listen to other podcasts. It's like I just
Yeah.
get the one. Just get the
Yeah.
one. I want more. So I've created what I want to see or hear, which I think is probably what a lot of creations are, and maybe more creations should be.
Absolutely. I
Uh,
think it's a great approach to
yeah,
creativity. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. So
definitely.
you go and enjoy Lapland and give my regards to Tula.
Will
And
do.
I hope to see some more. Will there be more skiing?
I'm doing a bit of cross country tomorrow. So,
Oh,
yeah, not going down hills.
not going
It's,
downhill. Have you done cross country before?
until yesterday, I'd never even strapped on a pair of skis. So, yeah, it's
Well,
a
cross
learning
country is
curve for
fun.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, enjoy.
it
You will
appeals to
be
me.
in your body for
Indeed.
sure. So
I'm looking
enjoy.
forward to it. Yeah.
Make a great day.
Thank you. Bye
Bye.
bye.